Hello, and welcome to the last of my 25 Symbaroum builds. If you haven't seen the first two, you can check these out, but I imagine I might have a few folks who are very curious about the BERSERK characters and don't know about Symbaroum. Symbaroum is very cool. I think it's dark fantasy, fits in with the world of BERSERK quite well, so we're going to get on to building those characters. Now, if you are a fan of Symbaroum, but you don't know about BERSERK, don't worry, I'm not going to be spoiling too much of anything. I can't say there's not going to be light spoilers here. And BERSERK is wonderful. It's my favorite piece of fiction ever. But if you want to know why or if you should read BERSERK, I'm going to forward you over to Super Eye Patch Wolf and his glorious video on the matter. Now, when it comes to making these characters, I wanted to go with a different approach. Some of them are just kind of built different, and the 200 XP budget that I gave to my Symbaroum characters, and for those of you who are new, we will be buying different abilities with XP. This is not a class-based role-playing game. Anyway, I wanted to kind of break the limits and do something different, and well, here's what that looked like. Guts is going to be an Ambrian human. Some of his boons, his little features, we need to be tough. We're going to have an heirloom. We're going to be horrifying, and we're going to have bloodhounds so we can track down our foes. Our burdens, well, we're a very tortured dark fantasy character. We're wanted. We have a mystical mark, the sacrifice brand. We have nightmares for all the spirits and demons trying to get to our sacrifice brand. We have an arch enemy, Griffith, and we have a protege, Casca, who we are trying to protect. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of what the character actually does. We swing a big sword really hard. We need Iron Fist, Two-Handed Force, Two-Handed Finesse, Polearm Mastery, and exceptionally strong, all to master level. That is going to cost us 300 XP. But wait, we are also quite hardy. We're quite a bit of a tank. While we're damaging, we need man-at-arms for our armor. We need recovery to regain our HP ourselves. We need blood combat for being a Wrathguard. We need feat of strength, and we need steadfast to withhold our will against extraordinary stress from the battlefield and from demons and abominations. So those are all going to cost us 300 XP. But wait, we need to be able to see the apostles' abominations as they would be in Symbaroum. So we need Witch Sight. We also are really good with throwing knives, so we need Steel Throw. And it just so happens that we have a cannon on our arm. So Siege Expert, and that's another 180 XP. Let's see what this is looking like. Well, we're wearing the Berserker armor, so that's where our Berserker is going to come from, and it's also going to give us the abilities of a rune tattoo, taking on corruption as we protect ourselves, so let's keep going. And look, this character is ridiculous. He's exactly as ridiculous as he should be if I were just building guts. So to show you guys what this guy should look like, he should cost 900 XP rather than my standard budget for the other videos of 200 XP. But I think this goes against the spirit of the build. So rather than try to make the characters exactly as they would be in the manga, in the anime, I am instead doubling down on the concept of putting these characters into the world of Symbaroum in a way that makes sense for only 200 XP, which I will remind you is already beyond the 50 XP that you would normally get with a starting character. So that's what I tried. I think it might be a good way to show off how a super powerful, iconic anime character could look if we had unlimited XP, but I don't think that is as much fun as working within the confines of the build. So let's see what that real build looks like. Guts is the Black Swordsman. He was a mercenary, but now, thanks to a horrific turn of events, he is an apostle slayer. In Symbaroum, that means he is an abomination slayer. We have already been through a ton of tragedies as this character, But now we are emerging to find a family, to form a party, to go out and achieve our ends and become better, become more human, and not lose ourselves to corruption. And in this way, I think that Symbaroum and Berserk are rather thematically aligned. Let's keep going. I thought about making Guts a troll or an ogre, but in the end, I think we need to stick to the core humanity and have him be a lowly Ambrian, orphaned by the Great War and sent to a new land where the only way he knows to survive is to pick up a sword and fight. We have 2 burdens. Now, on past builds, I said we should only have 1 burden, but this is very important. There's a reason why I am breaking this rule for this character. Here's why. Our archenemy is Griffith. We never quite know when he or one of his minions is going to show up, and our protege, the helpless individual that we must protect, is Casca. And I think if you read through the text of these 2 burdens and you know Berserk, you'll see why this makes sense. And even if you don't know Berserk, I think the balance between, or the rift between these 2 kind of goals is just as important to this guy as swinging a big sword is. But let's get to swinging the big sword with those abilities. We are going to take 2-handed finesse and 2-handed force, both to full master level. That's going to give us a lot of damage. It's going to let us break armor, and it's going to attack a chain of foes. We need Iron Fist so that we can attack with our strong rather than our accurate. We want Man-at-Arms to give us a fair amount of defense. We are also taking Rune Tattoo, which might seem very different. Guts isn't known for his tattoos, although he does have that brand. But this is where we can change up the flavor of an ability while sticking to the rules. Rune Tattoo is going to offer us extra protection and healing, but at a cost. And I think this perfectly matches the effect of the Berserker armor. And we're going to see maybe later on how another character might help us deal with that. We want Feat of Strength. It's going to give us some extra HP for tanking, and we want Exceptional Attribute to show that we are the only human strong enough to pick up the Dragon Slayer sword. Our accurate is 11. We don't have any abilities for our knives or our cannon arm, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't throw away our proficiency with that completely. We want 8 cunning, 5 discreet, definitely don't care about that. 6 persuasive. I feel like Guts in the later era, which is what we're building, is a little more persuasive, but with the way the stats are balanced here, we got to dump something. Quick is 10. That's going to hurt us in the defense department as well as our initiative, but I think it works for Guts. Our resolute is 14. Guts goes through a lot of emotional turmoil and really shows a lot of willpower. And we're going to need that for the use of our Rune Tattoo, as well as just fighting against abominations in general. Our strong is 16, and our vigilant is not too shabby at 12. Toughness 21, pain threshold way up there at 8, corruption threshold 7, permanent corruption is at 2. Our goal, again, you could interpret a lot of different ways. For the Guts that I'm building, for where I think he is right now, I think he's resolved to save Casca at the expense of his vengeance, and his shadow is blood red, surrounded by black flame. For our weapon and armor, we do have 2 artifacts. I consider these powerful artifacts. That means they cost 1 permanent corruption to bind. Our Dragon Slayer is based on an Executioner's Axe. It has deep impact, massive, and the Bane property against abominations. Attribute to hit is strong. We're looking for a 16. That's really good odds. The damage is 1d12 plus 1, but it's massive, meaning we roll the die twice and take the better, and we're ignoring armor, which is going to be crucial for the kinds of enemies that we're fighting, and the Bane quality gives us an additional 1d4. The Berserker armor is going to be flexible and reinforced. Our defense is going to be 10, our impeding is -3, and the reduction is 1d10 plus 1. And now we have a guts that I'm pretty darn satisfied with. Did I miss a few of his abilities based on what we could have done before? Yeah. However, I think this grounds the character not only in the world, but it does bring up that human vulnerability aspect that we don't see as much in the later series. Let's go ahead and see the party of individuals that he's surrounded himself with who may or may not be up to his level. We're going to start with Guts' sidekick, Isidro. Now, Isidro is kind of the classical dual-wielding thief. He's an acrobat. He doesn't have too many tricks. He's going to be rolling around, stabbing you in the butt, and taking your stuff. Our story is that we're a goblin orphan. We've learned survival by any means necessary. And now that we've seen Guts, we have decided to follow him to steal or learn his moves. So we want to be a goblin. That's going to give us Pariah for an additional 5 XP. That is going to give us short-lived, which doesn't affect our mechanics or our XP at all. We want to take Dexterous. This is the sleight of hand, the stealing stat in Symbaroum. We're going to take that 3 times for a +3 bonus when we try to swipe something. That's really good. And Shadow Spawn is going to give us a +1 on stealth. And we are going to take the burden epileptic. Now, I don't think that Isidro is literally epileptic, but I think that when he gets into a situation, say there's a naked girl around, which happens in Berserk quite a bit, he's going to roll on the die, and if he lands on a 20, which is bad in Symbaroum, he is going to be stunned and unable to act. So I think this is very fitting, and it gives us a bonus 5 XP to play around with. Let's get to the abilities. Now, with Isidro, I struggled to make him meaningfully different from another 2-weapon wielding anime character, that of Levi Ackerman from the second video. And I think we did make something different, but they definitely have a few things in common. We do need Twin Attack. That's going to give us a free attack with our offhand. We want Feint. Feint at master level is going to give us another free attack as long as we can successfully befuddle our foe. We get to use Discreet as our attack and our defense stat. That's really good. We want Backstab for a damage boost, which we can typically rely upon. And we want Rapid Reflexes, which is a special unlock for Rogue that we get by taking Master Level Feint or any other Master Level Rogue ability. So with Rapid Reflexes, goodness me, we get an evasion ability, so some defenses. We get this ability where we can swap around with an enemy. That's very good because it's going to let us set up flanks with Guts on the front line so that we can better get those backstab advantages on damage. And we are always going to act first unless someone else has this ability. That's very nice. Let's see what else we got. Well, we have Survival Instinct as a goblin at Adept. That is going to give us a free move once per scene, which is pretty significant actually, and it's going to give us an extra armor boost for free. We want Acrobatics at Novice level. That's a quick disengage kind of thing, so as we're fleeing from foes, they have disadvantage on hitting us. We want Cheap Shot, which is going to give us another opportunity for another free attack as long as we, kick the foe in the balls and they crumple over. Now we get to attack them again, and now they're in a weaker state. And we want exceptional attribute Discreet, because right now that's where kind of all of our features for this character are coming from. And Isidro actually wound up being a lot more well-rounded than a lot of my characters, stats-wise anyway. So accurate is 5, cunning is 6. We are dumb, and right now we're just focused on our daggers. So we're not going to be throwing or shooting a bow or anything. Our discreet is 16, very nice. Persuasive 10, Quick 10, Resolute 12, Strong 10, Vigilant 12. The Quick being only a 10 does seem weird, but remember, we're relying on our Discreet for our defense and our initiative order. Our Toughness is 10, Pain Threshold is 4, so we're a little squishy. Corruption threshold is not bad at a 6, and we are carrying 1 permanent corruption because of our artifact, which we'll get to next. Our goal is to learn Guts' moves so that I can survive, and our shadow is bubbling orange, flecked by ash. So we have a cutlass that's unremarkable. Our big weapon is going to be our small weapon, which is the salamander dagger. The salamanders are flame spirits that are called into the blade. Our qualities are precise and flaming. The attribute to hit is discreet at 17 with the precise feature. And our damage is going to be 1d6 standard plus 1d4 for the fire plus 2d4 when we're at advantage, which is going to be most of the time thanks to our abilities and thanks to Guts. And that's happening twice. Now, we also get 1d6 plus 2d4 for the twin attack and a d6 for cheap shot. Now, this isn't going to happen every turn, but with the way our stats are, it's going to happen most turns. We're going to get 4 swings with extra damage on it, and that's not bad at all. Our armor is just a leather coat. It's just going to be flexible, 1d4 armor. Our defense is 15. We're going to be really good at dodging, and if we do get hit, we get to subtract 2d4 from it. So that's going to help out with our fairly low HP and pain threshold. So in a normal situation, there would be a massive chasm between Guts' level and Isidro's level, but with the way we get to build them in Symbaroum, now we have a pretty capable sidekick who almost couldn't be called a sidekick. I think he can get a lot done, and that really shows the potential that Isidro has later on. Now let's look at somebody is competent in the manga and is also going to be quite competent in Symbaroum. Shierke is a little witch girl. However, witch is just a flavor word. So I've needed to look at the different abilities that Shierke actually does, compare those to the powers we see in Symbaroum, and question which mystical tradition or traditions were actually right for her. She does call upon the spirits, the 4 cardinal kings. So I want some representation on that. She also has a little bit of telepathy, so we might get that going on. She's also very good at seeing a creature's odd. In Symbaroum, we see this with being able to see somebody's shadow. And perhaps most important for the party dynamic, she has taken on the role of making sure Guts doesn't get corrupted, and we might have some features to accomplish that in Symbaroum. So we're a barbarian orphan lost in the woods. Gosh, there's a lot of orphans in this setting. We were trained by a witch named Flora at a young age, meaning we have knowledge and proficiency far beyond our years. And when Guts came across our path and something bad happens to our home, we've now decided to join with Guts on his journey to assist him however we can and grow as a witch. So our race is barbarian human. That gives us contacts, so we know some other witches around. Our boon is going to be medium. That's a nice little +1 boost for talking to spirits, which in Symbaroum are not the happy elementals that they are in Berserk. It's going to be hopefully happy dead creatures, so more of the ghost spirit kind of deal. And our burden is going to be slow. This doesn't fit the most for the character, but I think it does track. She does dawdle a little. She does have to be carried along by the rest of the group sometimes. When we get to our mystical powers and abilities, I did wind up going with witchcraft. I was happy that this worked out because I wanted to follow the path of the spiritualist, aka the white witch. So we are a master level in witchcraft. We are also, however, grabbing symbolism. We see quite a few times when Shierke is able to use talismans or some other rune magic to be able to get stuff done. We want witch sight so that we can see the odd, see the corruption in other creatures. We need inherent wound, which doesn't completely match with Shierke, but it was a requirement to pick up spiritualist. But it's going to be worth it because we're going to take tormenting spirits at adept for 30 XP. This is a powerful main attack. This is going to be 1d4 damage, ignoring armor, ongoing, but it doesn't attack your strong, your toughness. It attacks your resolute. So we are going to be draining our foe's willpower during a fight when we call upon our elemental spirits to attack them. So this is very good, and Shierke is kind of a high magic damager in Berserk, so this works out well even if it doesn't match the flavor of, calling upon fire, water, earth, and air. We're going to grab Ritualist at Adept for 30 XP, which gives us access to 3 rituals. We need Necromancy, which is talking to the dead, which does have a little bit of play within Berserk, like minor. But we needed it for Spiritualist. We are going to take Carve Rune Tattoo for the Talisman effect. So we're kind of developing a group story with our party here. Maybe Shierke was the one that gave Guts the armor, the ability to call upon his rune tattoo, and now she sees that that is starting to call out his inner demon, and she's going to be the one to help stop it. We're going to grab Rune Guardian. We do see in Berserk that Shierke can call upon a golem. This is something that witches can do. Rune Guardian happens to be the symbolist version of this, a second character. We want protective runes, also through symbolism. This is going to give us more defense. We're making a character that has actually a good balance of offense, support, and utility. With channeling, we are going to be able to take corruption from another character and take it into ourselves, which is a risk, and that is why we're going to mitigate that risk with Strong Gift at Adept. 30 XP helps us with not only the temporary corruption of casting our signature spell with Tormenting Spirits, but it is going to double our corruption threshold. When we get to our stats, we're dumping accurate, we're not good with weapons. We want 14 cunning. We got 9 discreet, 6 persuasive. Again, I feel like Shierke is actually better at talking to people than this, but we have to dump something. Our quick is 11. Our resolute up there at 15. Strong is 6. Vigilant 14. Toughness 10. Pain threshold 3. We're very squishy. We need to stay in the back line. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen. Corruption threshold, however, is 15. We'll be able to take on not only our own spells, but some of the corruption of our allies as well. Our goal is to keep Guts alive and uncorrupted, and our shadow is Tranquil Lavender. Now, our weapon, our staff, doesn't actually matter very much. I just wanted to show off Tormenting Spirits and what that's going to do. Our armor is a simple witch gown. Our defense is 10. Again, we might get hit if we are in melee. It's going to be very easy, so we need to stay at range. And that is Shierke. Excellent. Adorable. Is she the high damage magical nuke that she is in Berserk? Not quite, but she's pretty darn good at getting a lot of different things done and rounding out the party. Let's look next at Serpico. Is a deceptive character, not in a con artist bard kind of way, not even in a sleek storyteller kind of way like Flint, but he acts like this bumbling valet when really he is extremely proficient at a lot of things, including killing people. So we need to reflect that. He is also powerful with wind spirits, which comes through in equipment. We are going to give our version of Symbaroum Serpico a little more agency over that, where maybe he was practicing some mystical powers and the equipment is just helping him. And we are most importantly a sworn defender to Farnese. We had a noble Ambrian father and a mother who was some kind of pariah. And Yes, the father is going to ditch us, the mother is going to die, meaning we have another orphan. But thankfully, we were, as an urchin, accepted by our half sister who doesn't know our true identity. We are now protecting her from danger and corruption. Now, I went with a changeling. In this version, our mother is going to be an elf pariah, somewhere in Ambrian lands, maybe even in Thistlehold. That's just going to give us long lived. I am not going to go with shapeshifter. I thought about it, it worked thematically, but powers rise, I couldn't really justify it. Boons, we want soulmate. That is going to be Farnese, and before you freak out, the soulmate boon in Symbaroum does say it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be a family member, it can be a trusted friend. So, no, we're not doing some kind of Lannister weirdness. We want fleet footed, we're quite fast and speedy at getting right where we need to be if Farnese is in danger. We're going to pick up con artist to give us a boost in lying. And I think the burden code of honor is very fitting for Serpico if his charge is put in danger. If he has to fight, he is going to stand his ground and fight, even if nobody is watching. I had a lot of possibilities with Serpico, and I wound up going in a very weird direction that actually works from an ability standpoint. Flavor-wise, it's gonna be a stretch, but I wound up making Serpico a staff mage. We need lore master for that. We need some kind of mystical power. So what I went with was curse, an ancient enmity learned from our elven mother. And I think this matches Serpico's gaze when he's staring down, especially guts. Uh, yeah, it's pretty hardcore. And that is going to play into our kind of duelist aspect, where we are going to give a foe disadvantages, debuffs against us while we are attacking them ruthlessly. We want Polar Mastery, which does work with a staff at a depth level for 30 XP. That's going to give us an initial free attack when we first charge in at somebody. Would it normally be a fencing sword? Yes, but we're using a staff. We want staff fighting taken up to master level for 60 XP. That is going to give us +2 defense. This is a really good way to make a defensive melee fighter without going the heavy armor shield route. So that is going to give us bonus defense. It's going to give us free reposts when somebody hits us. Again, that sounds like a fencing ability, but it's not well described in fencing within Symbaroum, so I think this is going to work better with staff fighting. And at master level, we get a free topple attack to outsmart our foe, get them down on the ground. Now we're stabbing them at advantage. Except, of course, we are smacking them because we're a staff mage. We want staff magic. Novice level, 10 XP. We are just dipping our toes into the water of mysticism. We want ritualist. That is going to be at novice for 10 XP. We want Bloodstorm. And, Serpico is not known in Berserk for calling on rain of blood on his foes. However, when we call this a windstorm, it actually matches pretty well with what he's able to do with his Sylph Sword. This is going to be an area of effect damage over time spell that is also going to silence any enemy magic users. So this is quite good. We finally want Bodyguard at master level, 60 XP. We can defend somebody else. We get to roll defense against it. We don't have to just automatically take it. And whenever somebody attacks our charge, we are going to get another free attack. So this guy is going to be making lots of free attacks, especially when it's not his turn, which tracks pretty well with the way he's able to pin Guts down and keep attacking him. Now, does it work against Guts in the end? Well, no, he's Guts. But against the average enemy in Symbaroum, this is going to be very effective. Our accurate is 13. Yes, I actually gave a character high accurate. Our cunning is 10, discreet 6, persuasive 6, quick 13, resolute 14, strong 8, vigilant 10. This might have been the most difficult character to make stats for because as you look at all those stats and you think about Serpico, if you know the manga, he's good at most of those things. So, yeah, it was rough. The stats are the best that I could make them. Given the limitation of only 80 points, our toughness is 10, our pain threshold is 4. We don't want to get hit. This guy is not going to soak damage if he gets hit. We need to stay quick on our feet. We need to stay smart and control the environment so that we're not getting hit by the Dragon Slayer. Corruption threshold is 7, not bad at all. Permanent corruption I have marked as 0, even though we're going to pick up some artifacts, because part of what staff magic does is you put your permanent corruption into your staff. Our goal is just to defend Farnese. Our shadow is unpolished platinum. Our weapon is the sylph staff, our armor is the sylph cloak. Boy, aren't we on brand. Now, the sylph staff is going to be precise, blunt, and transcendent. Transcendent means that we can swing the spot next to us and it can hit you from 50 feet away. And that matches very well with what the sylph sword does in the manga. Our attribute to hit is accurate and our target is 14. The damage is 1d8 plus 2d4. Not bad at all. Our armor is pretty simple, the Sylph Cloak. You could get fancy with making this an artifact. Maybe it gives you some levitation abilities. For right now, we're just going to focus on the base. Our defense is 14. Not too bad. Impeding -1, reduction 1d4. And yeah, I like our slightly reflavored Serpico with a staff instead of a fencing sword. But let's get to who he cares about most. Farnese de Vendemion is my favorite character in Berserk. She was also the most difficult to build. Let me explain, for those who don't know, Farnese starts out her journey, she is introduced to us like this, and you think, oh, she is some sort of Joan of Arc, the holy commander type. What can she do? Wow, wow, wow. And then as she goes on through her journey, which I won't describe too much of, she winds up giving up her sword, her armor, her horse. She gives up so many things in her life that had found meaning and identity for her up to that point, and instead starts learning to become a witch under Shierke's tutelage. So, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with this character because neither one of these really worked. Going somewhere in the middle didn't quite work as well. So I looked to the lore of Symbaroum and how we could make this character while keeping her core spirit intact, but making her competent within the world. Here's what I came up with. I'm rather proud of it. I hope you enjoy it too. We were chosen by fire, we were a heretic hunter, now we are a hopeful mystic and an astral healer. We have noble parents who aren't both dead yet. We finally have somebody who's not an orphan, and what do? They run away from home. We are, at an early age, praised for burning heretics alive. This leads to us being promoted to commander of the Knights of the Holy Iron Chain. That sounds like it could be from Ambria. And we deny our fate twice to follow Guts and become a part of his story as we find ourselves and find redemption. We are Ambrian human, we are privileged, our boons are escape artist, fire forged, and soulmate, which we can combine with Serpico. This works out. The rules do say you can have 2-player characters in the same party. Pick this out. Our burden is a dark secret. Farnese really loves fire, like really, really loves burning people and how that makes her feel. And this is such a dark secret that she hates it herself. And Farnese is quite susceptible to corruption, and I think this works out well in Symbaroum. She has the potential to take a dark deal and become a sorceress if the rest of the people around her are not careful. And I wound up going with a rather simple 1-page build that I hope hits all the right notes. Theurgy, Master, 60 XP. Prios is Burning Glass. This is our area of effect, Holy Fire, that does additional damage against heretics, against abominations and undead. That is Adept, 30 XP. We want Holy Aura, Master level, 60 XP, sustained astral healing for us and our whole party, boosted by Theurgy. We want Anathema. That is going to let us take away direct possession from another being in the middle of a fight. And finally, Ritualist Adept, 30 XP, 3 rituals, Heretic's Trail, Exorcism, to combat possessing spirits and sanctifying right with what we have learned from Shierke, plus what we learned from our past in the Holy See. Now we can make a safe space where the spirits, where the demons can't get to us, the dark spirits can't get to us, only our friends may enter. Accurate 5, Cunning 11, Discreet 9, Persuasive 8, Quick 10, Resolute 15, Strong 10, Vigilant 12, Toughness 10, Pain Threshold 5, Corruption Threshold 8. Goal: use my fire to warm rather than to burn. Shadow is fluttering yellow flames. Our weapon is a silver dagger, but we don't particularly care about that. Our armor, I considered giving her full plate and making her a Templar. I didn't think it fit. I considered giving her the silver chainmail she is gifted by Flora, but I think I'm going with what she wears now, a humble witch gown. And now that the builds are done, let's take a look at the final standing on the tier list. We start with Farnese. This is fitting. Farnese, despite being more competent in our Symbaroum build, is still the weakest among Guts' party. She had some okay mechanics that were brought down by some of those limited use utilities. Our fantasy is a 7. She's a hard sell. Our lore is also a 7. She could be up there. She could have been a 10, but because she has given up so many of her advantages in life, everyone would be looking down on her except for us. The fun factor is an 8. I think she has a fair amount of different things going on without being a one-trick pony. So our final score is 7.93 C tier. We jump up to B tier with Isidro, and again, this tracks pretty well. Isidro is training with Guts. We've seen him accomplish some pretty good stuff. He's gotten a few good kills, but he's nowhere near Guts' level yet. Our mechanics was very nice. Our fantasy is a 7. He is just kind of a basic rogue dude when you get down to it, and some people really like that, but a lot of people want a little more spice going on with their rogues. Isidro is still figuring himself out. He hasn't found his flavor yet. The lore is a 6. Everyone would look down on this thieving urchin child. The fun factor, I think, is high up there. I think this is a 9. That's going to give us an 8.2 for a B. Shierke has a lot going on, and despite having a couple of S tiers and some good A tiers, once again, she's pulled down by some of that utility, especially something like Witch Sight and Inherit Wound, which you have to be really careful with. The fantasy is a 10. I know people who would never touch Berserk that as soon as they see Shierke, this cute little witch on the cover, they're like, what is this? I thought this was the big, scary Rage Man manga, and I say it is, but also Shierke is in there, and she's great, and she has a little fairy friend. So does Guts, by the way. Our lore is a 6. Lots of people in Ambria, and I think even Barbarian Society would be looking down on this strange, uncharismatic little witch girl with her funny hat. But the fun is an 8. Our final score is 8.34, not bad at a B. Serpico is our A tier, and I would be a little upset about Shierke not also being A, maybe not, she should probably be surpassing Serpico, but I gave her the stuff that I felt good about. I think she tracks best in Symbaroum, so I'm not going to be ashamed. Serpico has strong mechanics, really good fantasy. I had to think hard about the fantasy, but I think when you get down to like a guy who is more than what he seems and just wants to protect his friend. I think that a lot of people could get down with that. The lore is a 7. He's fairly unassuming but polite, so he would be kind of respected. The fun, I think, with the way we built him with staff magic and all of his free attacks and riposts, I think is a 10. So our final score is a good A with 8.72. And last, certainly not least, you probably guessed, Guts. S tier. The mechanics are strong. The fantasy is 10. He's absolutely iconic for a number of good reasons. His lore is a 10. I think he would be shrouded in infamy in the world of Symbaroum, just as he is in the world of Berserk, and yet in both places he has the potential to be a hero. Fun is a 10. Flavor 10. Final score 9.14. Let's look at the full list. 75 templates and builds that I've gotten to share with you guys. Here's the spread, and it's pretty even. I think it's right where it should be. Actually, a healthy number in S tier, and most of those are from the builds I made without intending to, so I'm pretty proud of that. Thank you so much for watching, especially if this is your 3 for 3 on watching my builds videos. I didn't think I was going to catch the interest from that first tier list video to make these, but y'all showed up, so I wanted to give this my best effort, and these did take a lot of time. But if one person uses one of these builds, or even if one person uses the ideas from these builds to make something all their own, this was totally worth it. So, have a nat one day. Bye-bye.